How is everyone doing? Welcome back to the Gentleman Pursuits podcast. Hope everyone is having a great week. Once again, stay safe, stay inside, and stay healthy, people. This episode is like a made up episode for last Sunday because I was unable to put out an episode. My voice was completely gone again. I'm weak. I have a really weak immune system. Like, I will die if I get a coronavirus. But here I am back at it again. I'm naming this episode 18.5 because this is not really a long episode, and it's gonna be a short one but dense episode because I will be giving you all the reasons to wear a wristwatch. This is basically just me trying to convince you, as you can see in the title. This is perhaps for all the people that are still kind of on the fence about wearing a watch instead of just using your phone to tell the time. It's so much more than that. So allow me to start convincing you that investing in a few good watches will benefit you for life. Fact the first. Watches are a link to history. Most watches often come with an immense background story, a beautiful one. There are always something that you can learn about the watch that isn't just its reference number or, the dimension of the watch. Each watch has an original origin story, and that led to, stories that led to the development of that exact watch you're wearing. Even if there aren't any stories linked to the watch you purchased, you can always create your own history and story with it. Why you bought it, things happened when you were buying it, why, in the end you chose watch A instead of watch B. There's just so much more than just telling the time when you buy a watch. There are massive sentimental value locked within that tiny case that are currently resting on your wrist. Second of all, the second, heritage. Relating to the last point I mentioned, you can always create your own history. Watches are something you can pass down to the next generation, and might I say, if you keep the watch in tip-top condition, it may never stop functioning. It will keep moving and moving and moving until someone decide to break it or just don't care for it, right? It will always tell the time and with precision, even like 150 years later. But with iPhones or like any other electronic devices, you can't really pass it down and hope it will work. Think of it as an heirloom. Your watch, the watch you bought, will be an heirloom. And if you understand why an heirloom is so important to the family, then you will understand why, understand my point. Fact the third. It's a refinement of character, I'd say, because we are currently living in a disposable age. Everything has to be quick and fast, but they gotta be providing you with the most value all at once, or else you wouldn't even bat an eye on that object. And most of the time now, if something is broken, you would go, you would not go and fix it either. It is cheaper to buy a replacement. It is trends like these that make us forget what it's like to stop and appreciate things. As ironic as it sounds, appreciating something such as watches, in this case, stops time for a bit. It lets you recalibrate your mindset in this busy world where everything can be so easily replaced. But if you hold something so dearly, to some people, it can be their cameras, it can be their crazy hi-fi system, and in my case, in this podcast case, it's watches. And this will never be something that you can just replace, because each piece, as mentioned before, that you bought stands for something, and you will treasure them for the rest of your life. Fact the fourth, which is the last reason that I can think of that may convince you to buy your first watch is that a nice watch will always complement your outfit. It will always. It will only better your style instead of trashing it. I myself is a huge fan of mix and matching, and I spend a lot of my time thinking what to wear, and not one time has a watch screw up my whole look. If you're wearing a suit, wear a watch. Like casual clothes, wear a watch. You're only into streetwear, that skateboarder vibe, dude, a watch will, like with a steel bracelet, will always go well with whatever streetwear you're wearing. A hoodie, an oversized t-shirt with chinos and Vans and Converse or whatever, right? It will always go well with it. I do a lot of funky streetwears too, and I have to say it again, watches will only make you look better. So guys, like, next time when you're about to tell people or judge people for wearing a watch, and you were about to say, oh, phones can tell the time as well, why would I need to spend thousands of dollars on a watch? Think again and think of how much more a watch can do that a phone cannot do. Thank you. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the latest episode of the podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button in front of you. I'm not sure if you're listening this on Spotify or Anchor, but either way, make sure you're following me on every social media platform, on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Anchor, Spotify, everything. Just make sure you're following me. You'll get the latest news on articles, uploads, new news, all kind of posts on watches and whiskeys. If you're not, you're missing out. So yeah, make sure you're following us. And until next Sunday, have a great week, guys. Stay safe. I'll see you guys.